Mr. Deputy Speaker, MSF recognizes the vulnerability of intellectually disabled persons who have no family support. Some may have no mental capacity or may lose mental capacity for decision-making and judgment. MSF works with community partners such as the Singapore Police Force, social service offices, family service centers, VWOs, and disability service providers to identify and help persons with intellectual disabilities with no familial support. Support for persons with disabilities, including those with intellectual disabilities, range from daycare to long-term residential care. The starting point is to see how they can best be supported for within the family and within the community. Some of these support services include the following: childcare disability homes, which are long-term residential care for children whose caregivers are incapable of caring for them, who have unsafe home environments, and or where the caregivers have passed on. Drop-in disability programs, senior activity centers which provide social and recreational programs for higher functioning persons with disabilities. Day activity centers which provide day programs for persons with disabilities to enhance their independence by equipping them with daily and community living skills. There are 26 DACs island-wide and 19 cater to persons with intellectual disabilities. We will be adding another 420 DAC places this year to increase the availability of such services to persons with disabilities. The wider community and public also have a crucial role to play in identifying and protecting vulnerable individuals and to report any suspected violence or abuse. In this regard, MSF launched last year a 3-year Break the Silence campaign to encourage bystanders and members of the public who witness or suspect violence to take action and to report. The campaign taps on social media, radio, TV, and roadshows to reach various segments in the community. For persons who lack the mental capacity to make specific decisions relating to their personal welfare or property and affairs, a deputy may be appointed under the Mental Capacity Act as a proxy decision maker for that person. One of the key roles of the public guardian is to supervise deputies appointed by the court for persons who lack mental capacity, including those with intellectual disability. The public guardian also investigates whistleblower complaints on any alleged violation of the MCA provisions, including abuse or ill treatment of individuals without mental capacity, as well as instances of deputies acting beyond the scope of the powers conferred on them by courts. If required, the public guardian will take appropriate action to safeguard such individuals, such as applying to the courts to suspend or revoke an errant deputy's appointment. In some situations, persons with intellectual disability, regardless of mental capacity, may be unable to protect themselves from abuse or neglect. One of the additional levers to protect such individuals will be the Vulnerable Adults Bill, which we hope to introduce in Parliament this year. The proposed legislation will allow the government to protect individuals with physical and or mental disability and who cannot protect themselves from abuse, neglect, and self-neglect. This will complement existing laws that address violence, maltreatment, and abuse against them.
Dr. Lilinho.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. May I ask the Minister whether there is a register for intellectually disabled peoples so that they can be followed up and assistance given should they require? May I also ask Minister whether MSF could have prevented the unfortunate circumstances that caused the death of Miss Annie E? Could she have been put under public assistance scheme where she could have received more assistance and need not have to stay with the people who abused her? Thank you.
Thank the member for follow-up questions on the issue of register. We recognize that for persons with intellectual disability, it's a whole spectrum, classified very, very broadly into mild, moderate, and severe intellectual disability. Many young people who are diagnosed with intellectual disability get support when they're in preschool and when they go to SPED schools, whether they're in special needs education or whether in the mainstream. In that regard, agencies, schools, the community know who they are. And for those with more severe needs, FSCs, specialist centers, preschools and schools will refer them, especially after they graduate, to support services such as day activity centers, and for those with more severe needs, even to institutional care if that requires so. And caregivers are given the necessary support and the grants to undertake training in order to better support family members with intellectual disability. As for the horrific case of Annie E., I would preface to say that it's a very sad case which caught public attention and tremendous unhappiness at what had happened to a young lady with intellectual disability who was out there working and looking after herself. The case had recently been up for sentencing, and because there's an opportunity for appeal, I'd like to preface by saying I will not talk specifically about the case. So I'll make general remarks about how, as a community, and how as individuals, and how as a network of government agencies and FSCs and VWOs, we can work together to strengthen the support for persons with disability, including persons with intellectual disability. And in this particular instance, we are referring to a case of a person with intellectual disability who went out to work and who went to find employment for herself, to look after herself. And the importance of having legislation to protect such persons cannot be further emphasized. We have an existing set of laws in the Penal Code that allow us to take action against abusers, but the Vulnerable Persons Bill, which we intend to introduce, will allow us to intervene even behind closed doors, to reach out to families, to reach out behind families. But none of this would be effectual unless family members, colleagues, neighbors, passers-by, people who interact and suspect something amiss happening to not just persons with intellectual disability, but to persons with disability, to children, to vulnerable adults, step forward, raise the alarm bell, and bring the suspicions to the attention of the authorities.
Dr. Lilino.
Thank you, Dr. Speaker. May I ask the Minister, how many cases of intellectually disabled people are under public assistance presently? Am I not correct to say that there are about 4,800 public assistance recipients, and which is about 0.1% of the total residents population in Singapore? May I ask the Minister whether MSF can be more compassionate and relax the eligibility criteria for public assistance to cover those intellectually disabled people, especially those with no family support?
Deputy Speaker, I don't have the figures which the member asked for, but she files a written PQ. I'll be happy to see whether the information can be provided. But as for whether we can continue to expand public assistance schemes to help people who are unable to support themselves, we'll continue to review our schemes. Thank you.